So today I will be going through these books, and I picked these ones to do together because they all kind of have heavier topics with them, or like heavy controversy and stuff that. So this book might be a longer one as I kind of get into it more, whereas the other one was just like my fun reads section. But I'm gonna get into it. V. E. Schwab's The Invisible Life of Addie Larue is one I was super into, and there's one of the biggest things I've heard about it is the whole and just a lot of what she does in general. I might do a discussion on her. The whole not like other girls trope. If it's done well, I think it's okay for the most part. I'll go deeper into it later, but again, like, it is something a lot of people feel, and for me personally, like, I always feel like my life was invisible to many people because I had this sister who had autism and Asperger's. I think it's just called autism now. I don't remember, but and so like all the attention was kind of on her, and I didn't have a whole lot of friends in middle school. In high school I did, but at the same time I this lack of connection, and so I just always felt that, and so that is going to be affecting my opinion. And then also the girl, like, who's not like other girls is kind of affecting my opinion. I felt that sometimes, but as you grow up, you kind of like see that it's not true. But when you're so separate from everybody else, you start to feel that sometimes. And so that's just something that, like, it definitely is going to affect my overall opinion, despite what criticisms I might give it. Is there anything else? I don't remember the question. Do you think the mood or surroundings you were in when you read this book affects your opinion of it? Yes. Again, I was going through a rough time where I literally felt like this, and I was like bawling my eyes out most of the time. And despite that, like, I got through it within a night. So it was very emotional for me. And again, I love books that evoke emotion out of me. And so already this is kind of getting points, even though there's a lot of criticisms I'm going to be making against it. So did any part of the book resonate with you? Yes. Did it challenge a belief of mine? No. It kind of didn't. And this is another criticism I hear a lot about it, is that you're just hearing about this, boring girl's life. Like, it should be super interesting, but she's kind of just going through emotions. A lot of what would be interesting, like her traveling through history, we don't even get a lot of. It's based on her romance with this one guy. And I'm not going to call what happens with the other guy because I don't want to do spoilers too much. I'm not calling that romance. What's going on there? Like, she has said several times that it is not love, and I 100% believe her. So other people don't seem to, which I don't get. Maybe they have their own stuff going on, but that is not something I am into. And I do not think it's an accurate interpretation of it, but it's whatever. We all have different experiences. Did it introduce me to a new way of thinking? No, it more cemented a whole lot of things, especially it really showcased how much I moved on from my high school tastes, because again, my whole experience with this whole topic, it's like, it just kind of shows how much I've grown from that. And so that really, makes me feel nice about it. And then I already kind of answered about other people's perspectives. And ultimately, because despite how much it resonated with me and stuff, the fact that it didn't question a whole lot of things when it could have, I feel like it's going to get a half star there. But it feels like a really deep book, but also it just kind of only feels like it. I mean, maybe I'm kind of not getting some stuff, but it is what it is. So, 1 point. Notebook. Not looking at the computer. So, 1 point for personal P. Okay. Expectations. Why did I pick up this book? I heard a lot of good things about it. I had just, I was starting to really get into Victoria Schwab because of what book? I don't know. I really like her writing style though. We'll just go with that. But I am drawing so many blanks right now. Whatever. Okay. Um Expectations that I go into it. Other than it being like a super good book, critically acclaimed kind of thing, like so many people talking about it, and the whole historical aspect of it, it kind of reminded me of the Age of Adeline movie. And especially since her name is like Adeline, her full name. So I had a feeling it would be kind of like that. And I guess in a way it was. But it's not fully a good thing. Did the author deliver on promises from build-up or popular hype? I would say it did at first. But then, and I do always take other considerations and like other than mine into my own opinion, because again, I don't just do the personal rating. I kind of try to do like a professional one alongside of it. And once I read those, like I said, I agree with them. So I think I'm going to give this a half star for this topic. So expectations gets 0.5. Okay. Do I have any advice, words, or encouragement or discouragement to those who want to or don't want to read it? It's a longer question than that, but I get the drift of it. I would tell them it is a long book. It's formatted in a unique way. Yes, there was missed potential, but don't kind of let that count against it. Like I'm kind of doing that, but also I'm not. Because I personally also like things that, challenge beliefs, introduce new ideas, and kind of like take things to the next level. And this one was kind of like almost there. I kind of have a feeling I know what this is going to rank out to be, but just know that like it deserves the hype. But yes, it could have also been better, and it could have dealt with some things better. So that's all I have on that. So the next star is connection. Yeah, I felt 100% connected. There were some differences, major differences, I should say. But overall, like I talked about in my perspective, I did feel a strong connection to this whole thing, but not as much as I was. Okay, I shouldn't say strong connection because it's not as much as I was hoping for. It's just it really played on the background emotions, I feel. Yeah, that makes more sense. I don't really have. Now that I said that, yeah, I did feel. I was hoping for connection, and I did feel a connection to myself and my story. But did I feel connected to her and her story? I don't think so. Well, and nothing really inspired me. And that's in the connection thing. It was kind of a depressing read. I'm going to give that a half star. Half star. That sounds good to me. Okay, so reflection. Is there anything I would do differently? I tried thinking about ways to include some of the more diversity that the criticism was aimed towards it. And also, okay, so with that whole criticism of her traveling more of the world, I kind of do want like a second novel based off of this series, but like I kind of understand at the same time why she would have kind of stuck with like those white European countries, and it's because like she's more familiar with that. However, I think it would have been a unique thing to kind of be like her regretting Yeah, that's the only thing I would probably do differently. Well, not the only thing. Never mind. But like having her regret not expanding more, or maybe like she tried to, but Luke kind of kept her in this corner of the world, even though that's what she was trying to escape from. Like that would be and then try to add. Okay, I might do a whole series on doing this differently. I'm kind of getting ideas. We'll see if I remember them by that video. If not, then we'll see. But yeah, so that gets 5 stars. Reflection. Again, because I did think this is one of like my favorite books when I finished reading it. But then reflecting on it, especially now, I'm gonna give that another 1/2 star. Because looking back at it, it is missing a lot. I think I got lost in the glamour of, again, my own emotions. And then her prose. I'm going to be studying, I almost swore, I am going to be studying a lot of how she does different things. And she's like unique and she tries different things with it. And however, it might kind of detract from the story. We'll see. That's what the study is going to be about. So, reflection, 1/2 star. 1, 2, 3, 4. How did I get 5? I have one more left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perspective, 1. Expectations, 0.5. Connection, 1. Oh, I think I redid the connection, so that doesn't actually get 1. So 0.5, 0.5. Enjoyment. I still enjoyed it. Were there times where like it kind of got, long and drawn out? Yes. But again, I think I'm gonna enjoy trying to do the done differently and trying to like improve it a little bit. If I remember all the things I'm thinking of now. Otherwise it'll just be those simple like additions to like kind of make it, address some of those issues. And yeah. So I'm gonna give that a 0.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So that's a solid 3 stars for my personal analysis of it. And now we're going to do the content analysis. Plot, pacing, and promise. I'm already going to say a lot of people, I think, would rate a lot against this, but I really like how she kind of had snippets of like putting her story into like, creative stuff and then having a full book like published about her. That to me was like fulfilling the promise. Pacing, it was slow, and that might be, again, something I address. I'm gonna pause and write some stuff down. Okay, so I wrote stuff down. However, I will say that with the pacing, to me, it kind of is symbolic of like her life. Like it's long and can be drawn out and she can get tired of it at times. But ultimately, like I'll turn back and I'll read parts of it and she'll, go back and remember it and you'll still be able to enjoy it. So, I don't know. I give it 0.5. And the plot, yes, could be better. I wrote down some ways to possibly add more drama, but still make it understated because, the invisible life. But I do have some ideas. I'm probably going to go through multiple ideas in that video. Writing style, full star. 1 star. 1 star. Even if there may be like flaws to it, I really appreciate the attempt at trying new things and unique things and stylizing your writing. And unless it's done super poorly, it's not going to get the point. But for the most part, it's probably going to get a point. And there's this question I have there that says, would the theme or plot of the book, it's more the theme. So this is 2 questions that I kind of merged into one. Would the theme of the book change in any way if it was written with a different style, tone, or structure? Yes, 100% yes. So that's another reason why, despite having like the problems with it, it would cause a major shift. And especially since it is already a popular book despite its controversy, it's something that is a personal opinion. So there's that. And then if I changed the style, I would change the plot, which I guess is going to be something I'm going to cover in that video I'm going to do about it. But I just wanted to address that quick because, I don't know, it's something unique, especially to this story. Because it's done in a way, like, she explains why it's done the way it's done, and why she skipped over a lot of, interesting things. But does that mean, like, we like it all the time? No. But, it is what it is. Okay. Characters, relationships, interactions. There were 3 interesting characters. Addie Larue, the Luke Knight God guy, and then that one random guy she met, like, while she was pretending to be a boy. Henry, the only reason why he doesn't stand out to me, I don't know, I feel bad for, like, not including him in that list because, again, I feel like a lot of guys might connect with that, or not just guys even, sometimes maybe girls, who connect with, like, just that level of depression and stuff. But, and like, how it kind of, like, makes you do stupid things. That's kind of, like, the whole thing about this is desperation, and making decisions in desperate moments, and paying the consequences for it. Like the whole Faye deal, gone wrong. It's a double-edged sword, essentially. Because of her actions with Luke is like a big driving force. Again, even though, like, it's abusive and stuff, like, and not, like, the best thing to, like, role model after. It was intriguing. It was very intriguing, and I want more of it. So I'm giving it a half star, even though we could have gotten a lot more characters, especially throughout history. Like, yeah, every time I think about it, like, there could have been so much more done with this book. But yeah, half star. Setting, lore, world building. That is the first one I'm going to admit defeat on, I think. I might just give it 0 stars. First of all, New York City, we've seen that a lot. I personally don't see the appeal. I like nature, but we don't get enough of the other places. And again, we switch so many places that it's kind of hard to do, like, world building and lore and stuff. And, like, we only get him. We don't get, like, other. Yeah, I'm giving that a 0. Like, especially since there's nothing a whole lot unique with it. It's just like an amalgamation of lots of different ideas, and I hope I used that word right. It's just the first one that came to my mind. So, moving on. Themes, social justice, morals. I'm rating this lower, I think, than I wanted to. But I think I'm gonna give it a 0. It had so many chances. I mean, there's making the best of the worst. Ooh, that is a good one. Okay. But, so that might move it up to 0.5. And then, be careful what you wish for. No, I don't like that one. We see it too often. And in this case, it wasn't even, like, a direct, like, issue with her choice. It was just him being it was just him being, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna say the F word, though. It's just him being a jackass. Luke, there. Okay, I found the word. Like, it could have totally been avoided. Like, there is no set in stool, like, rule that, it kind of does that. He just, I don't get that. I mean, maybe it makes sense if, like, there is a kind of balance they have to reach, but, like, it's just a natural occurrence of it, and he gets to kind of choose what it is. But still, I don't know. morals. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give it a half star because of the debate that's kind of going on with it and the conversation that's like involved around it with my whole perspective thing, which I only give half star. Yeah, okay. I split those points with the whole perspective thing. I'm trying to get back on track. It shifted my perspective, and it's talking to people and possibly shifting their perspectives and stuff. And I do think it's an important like conversation, like in topic and stuff. Not like super important. Not because I don't think the whole inclusion and diversity thing isn't important, but it's just at the end of the day, it is a piece of literature that had a certain goal in mind and is supposed to like target kind of a very specific audience, I feel. And you know, it limited itself, but you know, at the end of the day, that is what it is. And we can, you know, maybe the next novel that, you know, could have done a lot of what this did will do it. And only because, though, this conversation was had. So, you know, I'm going to put this down now. And it got a total of 2.5 for that. I am going to go ahead and give it 3 stars. Am I keeping it? Yes. But am I going to do it to reread it and to enjoy it? Kind of not. So it's kind of going to go on that one, especially since I will be making that video out of it. But I'm not going to get rid of it immediately after. It's staying on my shelf, and that's what this one is, reading and keeping. I am putting it here. Okay. Lore by Alexandra Bracken, the one that saved the Darkest Mind trilogy, that even after making that decision, I'm kind of thinking of tossing him. Did I already do it? Yeah, I think I already did it. Because I just think I'll find better dystopian ones to put it in. But I definitely, because also I remembered some things about it, and I did some research and stuff, and again, it's good for beginners, but it's not a reflection of what I want. And despite saying that, like, there are things I would put on like my children's bookshelf, or not my children's, or like a bookshelf for children, doesn't mean I'm actually going to do it. Because again, I'm not gonna have my own kids. But this one, we will get started. Perspectives going in. I did get into that Lore Olympus, what's it called, webtoon, and with that one, like, I liked it, but there are just, and it's dealing with good topics. I'm not talking about the webtoon. We're talking about the book. Anyway, I do have some background. I did do like some world history stuff and world cultures and religion stuff that did cover a lot of this information. Was I ever a big fan of the Greek whole pantheon? Not really. I didn't read Percy Jackson. It's kind of on my TBR, but it's kind of very low because it's for young adults. Like, I would even say like mid-grade adults. Because I don't think there's like anything really adult going on in there. Wait, mid-grade adults. Just mid-grade. But perspectives. Again, with my whole history of strong female heroines, I see it a lot, so I'm extra picky about it now. And she was a regurgitation of the same thing. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the next question. This is definitely a story I felt like I normally would have enjoyed. I thought it would be a step up from like things I previously enjoyed, because it seemed like it was going to be a bit more adult, which I was kind of correct in, but also kind of not. It wasn't as adult as I thought it would be, or as like deep, you know. It was very surface stuff. Anyway, the surroundings I was in, I don't think those would have had anything to do with it. It didn't resonate with me. It didn't change any beliefs I had. It reinstated some of like the common conversations that had been circling about Greek gods and stuff, especially with like the whole Medusa story. It expanded on that, which is good. But also, I've seen a lot of it before, and to me it was just like, yeah, okay. Heard about that, had a feeling somebody was going to do something about it. Evoke a strong emotion. No. Not really. I'm surprised. I'm kind of saying, again, my taste has really, really changed. Personal perspective. It didn't challenge. However, since it did, no, that'd be down in the themes point. I think that's getting 0 points. It may get 0.5, but also I feel like the reason why I would give it 0.5 would be down into the themes and morals and stuff. So, I put it 0.5. Well, okay. It's getting a 0.5. It's not that serious that I get the rating exactly how much I think it should be. Connection. Did I feel connected to any of these characters? No. Ooh. This is painful for me. 0. Wait, that was only one of the questions. Hang on, I have more to read. Did it remind me of anything else? It reminded me of a lot of other things. The whole battle to the death for these kind of competitions things, I see a lot of. And just to name a few examples is this Endgame book right here. The Unkindness of Magicians. I had more. Kind of the Crown of Wishes, but man, I need to get better memory. But yeah, the Hunger Games, duh. But yeah, again, because it came on the back of all that stuff. If this was like one of my introductory books, again, I would probably adore it to pieces. But it's not. It's kind of poor timing. Me kind of moving on from my previous tastes. And that's why I don't really feel a connection. However, I might still hold on to this because, yes, I'm doing a character who's kind of a badass female, and I kind of want to get, and I'm writing a book of like fight scenes like that like inspire me to kind of get into my own mood for writing my own fight scene. But other than that, it's getting a 0. It makes me kind of sad. Is there anything I would do differently? There are some things I can comment on in like a video. But ultimately, I'll just say it here and I'll be done with it. This is not enough to help us keep track of who's who. There were so many characters introduced, and they all kind of fell flat. I do think this book would have done better if it was kind of a series, or like a duology at least, or just, a bigger book. But we didn't get to know anything, and I would kind of like to have seen kind of the cycle of this. Okay, second reflection question. Did I enjoy the book as a whole or think of it often? Yes, I do. And yes, I did. So already it's kind of got a half-star ground. I had an easy time getting through the book. And I would recommend it to people. And I would reread it. But ultimately it kind of it kind of left me feeling nothing. And this is about reflection. Looking back on it, I'm going to give it half star. Enjoyment. Did I have any favorite or least favorite scenes? This is one I kept skipping over for other ones that I might get into later. But I liked the end. I liked how it ended. I heard, my own sister who really liked the story did not like how it ended, but I didn't mind. I liked it, and I'm starting to think that was my favorite scene. I don't know why. It's just the one that stood out to me the most. That in like reflection. Can I label any characters as a stock archetype? 100% yes. That's literally what it felt like the author did. Is especially with, like the Greek gods. Honestly, I feel like Athena was the most interesting character. But, I did read it while listening along with an audiobook. And it might just be because I liked how the voice actor did the voice. So, again, it might not even be the book itself. What rank would I give this book in comparison to others? So I'm going to be ranking it against this whole thing. Ultimately, it's not going to place as far down as I thought. I'm not trying to build up suspense. I'll just tell you. The Poppy War is my favorite. I think it dealt with its dark topics the best out of all of the books. And that's what I'll rank it on. This one dealt with it well too. That one, it could have been a bit better, but that might just be me not complaining, but thinking about other things as well. Ultimately, it's tied for me with The Invisible Life of Addie Larue. Just above this one, which I'll get to the reason why. And then this one, I feel, is going to be last place, which hurts my heart because I was introduced to this series with the TV show, and I had high effing hopes for this series. But we'll get there. So, ultimately, enjoyment, I'm giving it a 0.5 for a total score of 1, 2, 3. I only have... It got lost somewhere, but I do think it's best to have it at the 2 points. Even if I might have given it 0 somewhere, after kind of reading through it, I'm thinking it might have been... 1, 2... Connection? Reflection. No, I think it was supposed to get 1.5. Oh well. I think 2 kind of more accurately represents my opinion, even though it might give a point to each individual category I covered instead of a specific one. But 2 kind of matches it better to me than 1.5. So even though it doesn't really matter all that much, but I guess it does to me. Content analysis, plot, pacing, promise. Ultimately, I think it handled the plot, the structure of it too, and the pacing rather well. Promise. I'm giving it a full star. Because I'm taking out some of my personal things about it and just judging it based on its own merits as if I would have just been introduced to it kind of thing is what I'm going to try to go for this content analysis. But writing style, nothing special. 0.5. I think I did have a few weird spots, but overall, it was fine. Characters, relationships, interactions. Again, with the stock character thing, interactions, I don't think there were really any interactions that really got to me either. Characters, again, there was too much going on. We were thrown into this middle and supposed to kind of be okay with just mentions here or there. No, if you're gonna give me this whole system of how this thing works, I kind of want to see the system. and the whole of it instead of just bits and pieces. You know what I mean? So I don't want to give that a 0.5 though. Why not? I'm just giving it a 0.5. I'm not going to think too deeply about it. Settings, lore, world building. Again, there could have been more, so already it's kind of down, a few points. Lore, it's called lore. That's funny. That gets a full point. I'm just kidding. Is the setting unique or interesting? The fact that it's using Greek gods. Okay, the lore though. Why on earth would you talk about Zeus as this what's the word, benevolent god who's punishing all these people for all of their misconduct? Are you kidding me? Who does this guy think he is? I mean, king of the gods, yeah, but where is he to judge them? Who is? He's one of the worst of the gods. And then again, we don't delve too deeply into this the lore of it. It's called lore. I expected more lore. It's getting a half point because it was just interesting enough, but I want more in a bad way. So, and also kind of a good way because it was interesting. But the fact that it did not have enough for me for the story is bad. Okay. So themes, social justice, morals. I'm going to give it a full point despite, like I said, it's kind of commenting, regurgitating. I don't want to use the word regurgitating because it is important stuff that it covers and it talks about. And it is kind of a fresh outlook compared to a lot of what we've seen in books. It's just that, unfortunately, I was immersed into that whole discussion of it for a while, and so it was kind of stale to me by the time I read this book. So, full point. 1, 2, 3.5 stars. I am comfortable with a 3-star rating. That sounds about right. Am I keeping it? No. No. Sadie, let go. Let it go. It's hard. Because, again, I had such high hopes for that. And it's hard to say go. Okay. Next. I kind of want to save this for last. This one is probably going to be quick. I'm not going to get into the whole of it. Most of my criticisms have to do with the fact that it felt like there was a book written, or maybe a whole series. Let's say there was a whole series written about it. And then there was a movie about it. And then somebody had the bright idea to write a book about the movie. That's how filtered this was. This is definitely going to be one I'm going to hold on to and do some kind of, expansion of it, trying to improve it. But this is what happens when you try to do the whole forwarding the plot, only the plot, too much. Because I don't even want to say there was too much plot, because I don't even think that's an accurate thing, but there wasn't enough background, there wasn't enough character, there wasn't enough build up, there wasn't enough a lot of things, because it seemed like the author wanted it to be this kind of fast-paced story, but for me it lacked in so many ways. If that's all you wanted was this fast-paced story, then it is what it is for you, but for me it wasn't. I'm not even going to go through rating it. This is going to be a long one, and I am going to dedicate a whole episode, or maybe join it with another book about it. So I'm not going to get into it here. I just wanted to say that quick. And the themes that it dealt with, again, were worthwhile themes. That's why, despite deciding that I am going to get rid of it, I wish I wouldn't have had to, because I would have loved this story if it only made the changes that I'm going to kind of comment on of what I would have liked to see in it. So, going away. Okay. So, The Magicians and The Magician King. This is another one I don't think I'm going to be bothering going through all the questions with, because it was dicey throughout the whole thing. And it is going to be something I'm going to cover in depth in my review of it, of my developmental edit of it. But I will say that it is. I did read the third one. I just don't have it. It is an accurate representation of what depression feels like on the inside. Like, he is a whiny, like, sees no good in everything. Like, he's never happy about anything. And I've heard people, like, say that was the bad thing about it and stuff. And that he was, I don't know. To me, that was the strongest part of the story. There's too much, I will say that there is too much telling. There was the dark matter of a rape that wasn't done well. Like, the rape scene itself, again, I think there should be warnings, but I don't think it was bad. It was kind of what it was, and it didn't glorify it at all. But later it kind of did, because it kind of discussed, I don't know, it kind of like gave her power. And maybe it didn't, because I'm remembering this line that was mentioned, that she turned to this other goddess afterwards, but in the actual scene itself, like simply afterwards, it did mention that she kind of felt something, like a power kind of growing inside of her. That may have been referring to, again, this is going to be a spoiler, but it's not like a spoiler of the whole story. I just realized it may not have been addressed in these books. It might have just been in the series, but like, she did get pregnant. And so I wonder if that's kind of what it was. But again, we were told it went kind of over it. And you know what? I'm not going to make a whole series off of this. Basically, I'm just going to say I would find a way to merge it with a lot of what went on with the Magicians television show. It would be way too complex to try and figure out exactly, kind of, not even exactly, but like get enough an idea of what to cover and what not to cover, because there was a lot of stuff going on in the Magicians show. And the Magicians show is one of my top favorite shows of all time, but it's a long list. So, and I don't know where it ranks in the list, but yeah, I did get excited for a while of trying to figure it out, but it would just be too big and too complex of a problem. And we do already kind of have an expansion on it and stuff. So yeah, I'm just not gonna rate it, especially since I'm not keeping it. It's weird because I would still recommend it. Again, especially with this one, getting like the idea of what depression is like. And this one, I really liked. There were parts I liked, but overall, it's not worth me keeping. And again, this is already long enough, and I really want to get to the Poppy Wars. That this was just a mediocre read. A lot of people liked it, and maybe you will too. As with the other things, it's all about taste and biases and experiences and stuff. And this is already on my camera an hour long. So now we get to the number one of the pile, the Poppy War trilogy. Despite it being number one, I am going to be doing a Done Differently episode about it because of some comments I've seen about it. Not necessarily because, I guess kind of my own experience with it, but a lot of it felt kind of like a textbook, but not also like a textbook. It's more like we were told a lot of things, and we didn't get enough characters. I'm gonna go through the list. Okay, perspective. What was my perspective going in? Okay, so I had heard about it first. I heard the title Poppy War, and I was like, ooh, I like that. And then I also I read that it kind of dealt with trauma and like PTSD very well, and that sold me. So I was going in thinking, it was going to be about a war and all that stuff, and cover PTSD trauma. And also my own personal experience and biases is, I am going to say this, I'm a white girl. I grew up in a white community. I grew up in a very strict Christian religion that kind of thought it was the religion of all the religions. And basically, the Hesperians in this book, they were like represented perfectly in that book. And I'm no longer a part of that religion. And because of that religion and somebody influential in my childhood, I was kind of raised to have this hero's complex. And so you can imagine kind of what I thought when I read this part. They trained her for a war. She intends to end it. Let's just say I had the opposite idea of kind of what that would be. I don't know why I kind of thought she would want to end it like peacefully. Or, you know, I don't know. But yeah, those were some of my biases. And I did not know it was based on a real war when I read it, which I think, this is kind of in the expectations topic, but whatever. It is important for people to tell other people exactly kind of what a book is about, especially with something like this. Because the fact that it was like a comment and kind of like showcasing this actual horrific event and this whole series of war that happened in real life gives it a whole new depth. And so despite me making that done differently like video, it's just a personal taste thing. This book and this author like won awards and critically acclaimed and so many different things that for me, what I'm doing with it is just going to be a fun exercise. But I did want to point that out there. And however, I've always had a fascination of other cultures. And even when I was in the religion I was in, I don't know, I had this mindset that like, as long as people's beliefs aren't really hurting other people, you know, why not believe it? And then also like, even if like the other religions aren't like the true religion, what's wrong with people believing in a higher power that, you know, makes them want to be good, that gives them a community that they honestly think is true, and they've had the same kind of confirmations that you've had in your religion. And to me, it was just like a placement thing, like not a placement thing. You kind of go where you feel like you belong. And for a lot of people, that's just where you were raised. And so yeah, that's my perspective on it. Did it change perspectives? Did it question beliefs? Yes. Even though like I kind of already went through this process, it was recent enough to kind of like just hammer it in just how much like brainwashed I was. And I'm not saying all Christian religions are like that. It's just the one I was in was like that. Am I still Christian? I may as well say this. I do not consider myself Christian. I consider myself agnostic because whether or not there is, you know, a big one God, a pantheon, or nothing, I don't care. Like, I'm still going to live my life the best I can. I'm still going to, you know, be a good person. And ultimately, for me, it doesn't matter if what you believe is true. It just matters what it leads you to do, is something I came up with when I was really not struggling with the transition, but after the transition and trying to figure out what was true or not. That's the conclusion I came to. So, putting that down because I've put my microphone higher because I realized there was a lot of noise going on down here, and I'm still flapping it around. And yeah, you know, it might be annoying for you, but okay. So perspective, it gets 1 star, and it doesn't even just challenge my perspective. It challenges a lot of perspectives, and that, despite it, you know, again, me kind of having already had that experience, I definitely think if I could give this 2 stars, I would. Expectations. It did not meet my expectations at all, but it was a good thing. Oh, I put a 2 there. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm putting a 1 there. I don't know what else to say about that. It's just, it gets a point for there. Connection. Is there anything that inspired you in any way for any part of your life? I will say it, hammering in the the conclusion I had come to originally, that was really important for me. And so I felt a connection to that, and I felt a connection to their struggle. Even though, like, it wasn't a struggle that I had because I grew up in, like, the Hesperian, essentially, religion. It was just being able to build that connection, I feel. And to see it from, you know, her eyes was really eye-opening for me. And it's, again, I'm going to give it another point. I'm not even done going through the whole question, but I don't care. It's getting another point. Are there any opinions someone could have about the book that would draw you to them or warn you away? There is a lot. I don't really want to get into it because, again, it would just be a reflection of their history that they may, you know, move on from later. But there was this opinion of this booktuber I watched discussing the Poppy Wars. And he mentioned that at the beginning, like, he thought he was going to be getting this grim adult thing, but at the beginning it felt like a YA book. I don't think he understood, like, at all kind of what the conversation was, especially since, I mean, I guess a lot of people don't do research in this kind of stuff, but not Mary Lou. R.F. Kuang said that she was inspired a lot by the Ender's Game and putting these children in these impossible positions and stuff. And so that is actually something I'm going to lean more on in the redo, is kind of solidifying the fact that these guys are children. But where did I get this quote from? But children stop being children. Oh, I think it was this. Children stop being children the minute you put a sword into their hands. If it's not that, I will either add it in like the caption thing or in the description. But that was a really big thing for me. It's so true. I also would say this, despite, I don't know, it's not a defining point of my personality, but it's kind of at that level. It's just something different of, you know, just how much it means to me. Even though there are, like, you know, I have a conversation of, like, flaws and stuff that I would have liked to see more of, but that's just a reflection of how well she sold me on this. And, like, I'm fine with this. I just wish I could have gotten more because, I don't know. And, you know, written differently because I have my own style that I prefer. But even with as kind of dry of writing as it was, you know, it's still up here. So, like not just up here, but, like, up here on, like, the level. Like, it's already got 3 full stars. And reflection, it's just getting another star. I could go on and on and on and on. It's getting another star. Enjoyment, that one's actually getting a half star. It took me forever to read because of how depressing it was and how depressed I was while I was reading it. And I think part of the problem I had with it was once I realized that this book wasn't what I thought it was going to be, I kind of maybe put up a barrier to experience it from, like, a window or, like, a filtered kind of thing. It may not have been that, but I'm kind of guessing it is, and I'm judging this based on my experience. And like I said, there were a few flaws I wish were done better, so I feel comfortable giving that a half star. Oh. Okay. For content. Oh, but I will say, my favorite scenes involved, this is gonna sound terrible, but, like, the dry, like, jokes or, like, enjoyment and, like, comments people would make about, like, some of the most worst things they'd ever done, particularly between, like, Daji and Jiang. I knew how to pronounce it once because I researched it, but I'm forgetting it right now. But yeah, those were my favorite parts. And the tournament fight. I liked that. Plot, pacing, promise. The plot did feel sometimes convoluted. There was, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll dig into it more in my Done Differently series of it. I'm gonna have to stop doing these stack reviews because I have a long list of those developmental editing things I need to get done. Or I guess I don't need to, but I want to get done. Okay. Writing style, 0 points. I am sorry. I do think the writing style was definitely a negative to it, but again, I'm speaking from a position of somebody who loves creative writing styles, techniques. Like, I'm fine with normal writing, but I don't even think it is on par with like normal writing. There was something missing, I feel. Sorry, my voice is cracking, but yeah, I don't want to give it a 0. But again, I do really think that was part of the problem. We're just gonna keep it. Okay. Characters, relationships, interactions. I'm giving that, I hate this. Wow, it was doing so fine before. 0.5. Because we kind of got like the bare bones of relationships. Like, we didn't get deep into them at all. We were told a lot of things. Yeah, and there were so many potentially like interesting relationships and characters that could have been explored. And yeah, I have to give it a half star. It was going strong. Now I'm kind of worried, but that's okay. Okay, so themes, social justice, morals. 1 star. Yeah, 1 star. We've already talked about that. And 1, 2, 3. I skipped one again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Writing style. Plot, pacing, promise, half. Writing style, 0. Characters, relationships, interactions, 0.5. Oh, setting, lore, world building. I'm gonna go ahead. I was gonna say give it a full star, but then I kind of had doubts. Most of it goes to the fact that I kind of want more. You're told of these 64 gods. And despite it taking place in this other culture and delving into those other cultural beliefs, I also kind of feel like we didn't get immersed enough into it, if that makes sense. Like, it still kind of felt like I was reading like an American novel, which I guess isn't a bad thing, but it just felt, I don't know, I just felt like they could have done deeper. But it also comes from a point of me enjoying it so much, I just want more of it, and my love, again, of culture and stuff. I know. 0.5. 0.5. Okay. It had such a high score that I think it's going to balance out. And I think it is going to get the score I originally thought it was going to get. So, it's just, I don't like seeing these zeros. I need to stop putting 0.5 and just do the normal fraction sign. Okay. 1, 2.5. Okay. 3.5 total, and that is kind of what I thought it was going to gear towards. Part of me feels like I should move it up to a 4, but ultimately, since I kind of thought that originally, it's down that. However, still highly suggest the series. It is fantastic, and my voice is starting to die. This is the longest video I've done, and I will see you guys next time.